Today's episode, we're going to continue on with more of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Kizuna Road, with the main event being for the Never Openweight Six-Man Tag Team Championships. As for the others, we have 205 Live introducing brand new wrestlers who are qualifying to be part of the breakout tournament that has been becoming more famous. And of course, this also features newer stars you may or may not have heard of. But also, we're going to have New Japan Strong with Fireworks Frenzy, with the main event being Fred Rouser taking on Bateman. But also, we're going to have, for the first time ever, to review Absolute Intense Wrestling, or as they call it, AIW or AIW, however you want to call it. This is their latest event that took place this past June called Major Announcements. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I'm your host, Jay Rod here. So let's start with New Japan Pro Wrestling's Kizuna Road, with the opening match being Young Lion Yota Tsuji taking on Kota Ibushi. Now, this was another great example where Kota appreciates the Young Lions. Now, if you guys remember, Kota Ibushi never went to the Young Lions system or the dojo. He was a self-taught wrestler from who knows when. But I think he wished he could have gone. But he admires the Young Lions, and I have to say, Yota Tsuji pulled off a very good performance, even when he knows he's facing a guy like Kota Ibushi. But you can guess, Ibushi won the match, but he showed respect to Yota Tsuji. How he probably will be a strong wrestler is still unclear when he'll go on excursion. Now, the next match is another young lion, Yuya Umra, taking on the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Shingo Takagi. This one, Yuya Umra, we have seen in the past how he is not afraid to take on the much powerful competitors such as Minoru Suzuki and now um, Shingo Takagi, which is pretty interesting. But however, you can guess right now in this particular match, Shingo actually won the match, but he's not being too respectful to the young lions like Kota Ibushi has recently with both competitors he faced before. Now, the next match is a six-man tag team match. We have Bullet Club members Yado, El Fantasmo, Taji Shimori taking on Suzuki-gun members Minoru Suzuki, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and El Desperado, or we call him Despy. This match was kind of interesting because all of these competitors from the Bullet Club, they seem all junior heavyweights or so. But however, when it comes to Minoru Suzuki, you know for a fact that in this there is no escape with him. But I have to say that they really pulled off Suzuki Gun pulled off of an amazing victory over Bullet Club, since we know Taiji Shimuri is now targeting El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title that he's currently hold, and that's going to take place very soon. Excuse me. Now, the next match, we have LIJ members Bushi, Sonata, and Naito taking on the other members of Suzuki Gun, Doiki, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr. So, as you know, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi have no other choice but to put the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles on the line against Naito and Sonata. So, Once again, it proves that, LIJ are trying to make a name for themselves. Um, this time it was a little different. It was Bushi who picked up the victory against Doiki. It kind of became a smart move because it shows that anything could happen in any moment, and of course, we could see how this is going to play out. Now, do I think that Naito and Sonata could win these titles? I don't know, but I will love to see them pull it off. Now, the main event is for the Never Openweight six-man tag team titles between the challengers, the Blue Justice, Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima, and of course, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, taking on Chaos, Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto. I have to say, this is one of the most best matches I've seen the Never Openweight titles. As you know, Tomohiro Ishii is a bit of a hothead in every aspect when he comes. He doesn't like people, even if they're stronger than him. And I have to say it was great. But however, the match ended in favor of Chaos, all thanks to Hiroki Goto. But in the end, you see that Tomohiro Ishii gave respect to the veterans, which is Nagata, Tenzan, and Kojima. It shows that they really can hang with guys like them. And of course, I don't know what Oishi was planning to say in the mic, but however, the lights went off, and of course, out of the blue, Evil showed up with Dick Togo. Now, I don't know what this is about. We do know Evil and Dick actually did try to get their hands on the Never Openweight titles. It's still unclear because I didn't see the English commentary version yet. It's still unclear whether if Evil wants to get another shot of those titles or this is something personal between him and Tomohiro Ishii. If this is really personal, then it's going to be a one-on-one match down the line. So I think that's pretty much it right now. So let's go on with 205 Live. Okay, so we got WWE's 205 Live. This is something different now because normally I enjoyed other wrestlers that I've seen like Asher Hale, Ari Sterling, Ikemanjiro, but of course we just lost several people who were in 205 Live like the Bollywood Boys, Everrise, um, Nice, August Gray, and of course Ari Davari. I'm gonna miss those guys, but sometimes we need to pay attention with the newer, fresher talent that they need to put out. The first competitor for the first match was someone who I forgot about, but I remember him, Guru Raj. If you guys remember Guru Raj, he faced off against Finn Balor in the spectacular event, which is their way to introducing India fan base, because we do know there is a possibility that there is going to be in an NXT India. Still unclear when will that happen, but Guru Raj really put Finn Balor to the test, and I think this was also a good thing to see because Guru Raj is in a whole different level from what he is, and his opponent is none other than a guy I don't even know. His name is Andre Chase, but the match was pretty interesting because, as I said, Guru Raj was in fact a different kind of wrestler that I never seen before. He, like I said, he put Finn Balor to the test, but however, this time his test with Andre Chase was not so good, so he ended up losing the match. Next match, we have Desmond Troy taking on Joe Gazzi. Now, Desmond Troy, I have seen him before on NXT on certain matches, more like jobber type matches. But to be honest with you, I don't know what to think of it. But I'll tell you anyway who won. Joe Gazzi. Never heard of this guy before. So these are wrestlers that I don't even know. But it'll take time for me to get to know who they really are because I would like to know who they are and where they're from and what is their skill set that they can bring onto the table. And that's something that is important to understand. But for now, let's just see what's going to go on for the next coming weeks and hope for the best. All right, so we got New Japan Strong with Fireworks Frenzy. The first match of the night is Adrian Quest taking on Leo Rush. Now, keep in mind, Leo Rush is already retired, but however, some of these shows were already pre-taped. I don't know how far they gone, like a couple of weeks or a month. It all depends on New Japan how they do this. But it was a very interesting match. Anything was happening. I know that we all know how talented Leo Rush is, but it was great to see him how he is. But sadly, we will never see him like that again. But it was an okay match. I'm not gonna lie. It was Leo Rush who pulled off the victory on this one, as always. Next match we have Hakuleo taking on Jordan Clearwater. Now, I have seen Jordan Clearwater many times over. If you guys are in the Southern California area, you may have seen him before. Recently, Jordan Clearwater had to relinquish the American title from EWF, which is Empire Wrestling Federation, because of his commitments with both NWA and, of course, New Japan. He is a star in the making. I have seen Jordan Clearwater once during a Level Up show. I have to say he really pulled off his own weight against a big guy like Hakuleo. But however, you can guess that there is no way he could have kicked out against a guy like Hakuleo who actually won the match. Now the main event is between Bateman and Fred Rosser. Now this feud started when Baird Brown turned his back on Adrian Quest, and of course he aligned himself with Bateman, and Fred Rosser decided to give backup to Adrian Quest, and this time this is a feud. I have to say this is one of the best matches so far I have seen Fred Rosser, even outside of WWE. This is one of those matches that I can say, yes, this is good. He took off his shoe because he was hurt, and I thought either, I don't know if it's for real or part of the storyline how they're building. I have to say it was pretty darn good, and I would not expected him to win against a guy like Bateman, but he did, and he pulled off the 1, 2, 3 count, and that is it. He won his match. I'm very surprised, but I'm happy for that. So we'll see what happens next time. Okay, so the final review is from a promotion based out of Cleveland, Ohio, called Absolute Intense Wrestling. This is the first time I've seen their events. I heard of the name, but never got the chance to watch it. Now, this latest event it was took place on the 18th of June. It's called Major Announcement. Now, keep in mind there are wrestlers that majority of the wrestlers I've seen so far in this match I do not recognize, and there are those who do. I will mention where I've seen them, and we'll see from there. First match we have a four-way match with Riley Rose, Casey Carrington, Sidney Von Eniglen, and of course this guy named TKD. Now the match it was okay. Like I said, I don't even know who these guys are, but now I see why they call it Absolute Intense. It really was a bit tense, but it was so hard to predict in four ways because it's predictable to find out at once. But in this one, it ended with TKD. He won the match. Next match, we have Mikey Montgomery being accompanied by a guy named the Duke, taking on Philly Collins. Now, prior before the match even started, Mikey told the Duke to go back. He doesn't need him, and he kind of hold his own against Philly Collins. Now, once again, I don't know who these guys are. I just enjoy the match. Mikey's a bit of the aggressive type, like the biggest heel, and of course, that's how he plays out. And of course, he won the match like you probably would expect it without any help from the Duke. Now, the next match is a four-way tag team match. Now, I may mention certain wrestlers I might have seen, but we'll see from there. The first team is the production, consistent of Ziggy Haim, Derek Dillinger, versus 40 Acres with Jocelyn Navarro and PB Smooth. Now, PB Smooth, I've seen him before. I mentioned him before. He was on AEW Dark recently. Versus Bulking Season, Arthur MacArthur, Chuck Stone. Versus for 9 to 5, Jake Verville and Lewis London. Now, like I said, I don't know majority of these wrestlers, but PB Smooth, I seen him with AW on Dark. I was like, okay, and there are only two women involved in this. This was more like a mixed tag team match, a bit of the intergender style or whatever, but it was good. But I got lost in the shuffle. I tried to keep up with what's going on. It was a total chaotic. But I did not expect a whole lot because I don't know much about these guys. But many people seem like they were rooting for like 40 Acres, which is where PB Smooth is with, and I was surprised. But it was a good match. 40 Acres won, and we'll see what's gonna happen in them the next time I see them. Next match we have Eric Taylor, originally accompanied by Duke, but he went back, taking on Dominic Guarini. The match started out great, but however, somewhere down the line, it was disqualified thanks to Mikey Montgomery and the Duke. But of course, he got help. Dominic Guarini got help from Tom Lawler. It became a tag team match between later with what's his name, with Eric Taylor and the Duke against Guarini and Lawler. Ooh, excuse me, but it's pretty interesting. You see, if you guys seen Lawler in both New Japan and MLW, he's a heel, but when it comes to AIW, he's a good guy. It's kind of weird, but it makes sense because we have that a lot with many people. How we cheer for, how do you cheer them? But that's how it is. But I was surprised that Tom Lawler was able to pull off the victory for his team. Next up, we have Ethan Wright taking on Lee Moriarty. Lee Moriarty was the fan favorite, but somehow Ethan Wright was able to sneak one out and pull off a very major big upset victory that you probably wouldn't expect, but somehow he did it. Next match, we have this guy named Marino Tenegali, whatever his name is, taking on Trey Lamar. Now, Trey Lamar, I have heard his name before, seen him either on Warriors Wrestling or GCW. It was a pretty good match, but it was Trey Lamar who won. He was a bit of a cocky dude, but that's how it goes. But we'll see where they're going to go with him on that down the line. Now, the main event is two teams teaming up against a group of dudes we all know. Let's introduce the first team. We got to Infinity and Beyond, Cheech and Colin Delaney, teaming with the Rip City Shooters, consistent of Joshua Bishop and Wes Barkley, taking on Swoggle, Mark Sterling, Brian Myers, and of course Matt Cardona. The match was pretty good, I have to say. It was awesome seeing Swoggle, uh, Brian Myers, and Matt Cardona. Mark Sterling, you may know him as Smart Mark Sterling, the guy who was the lawyer for Jade. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but however, the Rip City Shooters pulled up an upset, but of course there was a retaliation against them. It was a lot of fun because I think many fans would have loved to see Swoggle and Sterling, Myers and Cardona won, but it didn't happen that way. It ended up in favor with um, To Infinity Beyond, along with um, what's their name? Uh, the Rip City Shooters. So I think that's pretty much it with this promotion right now, and there'll be more to come. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode, me reviewing these events. It's really fun to review for all of you, those who may or may not have watched them. Coming up, we have three events coming from all three Yoshi promotions. The first one will be Got to Move Pro Wrestling, which is continuing with their Oak Tag League. This is their day 5 on it. It's going to be interesting. Next up, we got Tokyo Yoshi Pro, still incomplete. Ice Ribbon Peace Parties, number 74 in Yokohama. Pretty much, I got 3 I'm going to do. And then, of course, I'm going to do for the first time ever on a Sunday. There's a 4-hour event by a wrestling show, a Japanese wrestling show called, let me just pull it out the card on this one. This one is called Gainism Decade of the Quarter Century. This one took place this past June in the middle of it. It's a freelance show. That will be coming up on Sunday, but at the same time, I'll be doing the podcast for all of you. And of course, we got the 4th of July. So I have no plans whatsoever 4th of July except do the podcast and also do the review for this interesting rest freelance show for I never actually watch. But as it for now, I will continue to follow up. If you guys saw the news earlier, we had Selena Vega return. I will find out more information why what is it that they offered her in return to let her come back. What her husband, Alistair Black, will be returning, as we know that there's been talk they want to bring him back. We don't know, but I will put a pin on that. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.